What's going on, you guys? So today I'm bringing guys a brand new sports cards video. In today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys a full guide of the 2025 NBA playoffs in the world of sports cards. Players that I believe are sneaky heading into the playoffs, players that I believe their expectations are too high to invest in leading into the playoffs, and all that sort of thing. So before we get into that, I did want to say this video is sponsored by collectibles.com. Thank you guys so much for sponsoring this video. It is a social app around sports cards, like a social media X sports card marketplace kind of app. Really cool app. Follow us at Sports Card Invest. We are posting on there. We are active on there. We love using the app. It's a great way to stay in touch with fellow collectors and investors and to just have that social aspect of a marketplace. So without further ado, let's hop right into the video. All right, guys, so the main investments that are going to be heading into the playoffs are, of course, going to be a lot of money is going to be allocated towards those top 3 to top 4 seeds in each conference. One thing that I would personally suggest in terms of just expectations, a lot of things, before we get into, All right, guys, so in terms of investing in the 2025 NBA playoffs, the biggest concept that I would suggest that you guys nail down is expectations. Prices for stocks, prices for sports cards, prices for any asset is based on expectations. So if you look at a guy like Luka Doncic, for example, you got to ask yourself, based off where his cards are priced, what are the expectations heading into the playoffs? I don't think his expectations are as high as someone like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's already seen a massive increase in price. But if you look at overall, you're going to see most of the expectations around the top couple seeds in each conference. So you look at the Cavs, the Celtics, the Knicks, you're going to see a lot of expectations for these teams that they perform, and a lot of those top players are going to have a lot of expectations on them. If you look at the Western Conference, you're going to see the Nuggets, the Lakers, and Thunder probably being the teams with the highest expectations, which means that they're priced, their cards are priced in higher than, a 7th seed, than an 8th seed. And 1 seed's expected to win that series, right? So if the Timberwolves stun the Thunder, you could see Anthony Edwards' cards go up 50%. If the Thunder beat the Timberwolves, you may only see Shai's cards stay steady or go up 5-10% because the expectations already baked into the price that the Thunder should be able to beat the Timberwolves because they're the number 1 seed. People have been speculating on Shai Gilgeous-Alexander's market a lot. A lot of expectations are being embedded into his prices right now just based off how they've performed recently. If we look at market trends, the guys right now who people are buying up leading into the playoffs, you can see right here, these are the guys that people are putting bets on. If they underperform, you're going to see their prices pull back. So one example would be the Rockets. I don't see them being a massive threat. I don't see them making a deep run in the Western Conference personally. Everyone has their own opinions, right? I would not be buying into Amen Thompson because his market has shot up a lot. There's some embedded expectations there that he will continue to shine probably during the playoffs. I'm sure if he still has some big games, you probably won't see his prices go down a lot, but there is that expectation. His prices have already jumped 20%. If he does fall short of those expectations, I could see a big sell-off happening in his market. The other players that people are betting on, of course, you look at guys, top seeds in each conference. Of course, Austin Reeves, Luka Doncic, you got a lot of Lakers on there. You got the number 1 seed, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, on that list. I think there's going to be a lot of expectations around these guys. What that means, there could still be great upside if they continue to exceed those expectations. If he wins a championship and an MVP, yeah, you can still see those prices go up, but you got to understand that there's a lot of expectations embedded in leading into the playoffs. So if you're buying into Shai's market, and he does get knocked out round 1 or round 2, if they do lose to the Nuggets or the Lakers, you're going to see those prices come back down to earth because of how high they're currently priced in based off those expectations that he's going to have that deep playoff run, that his prices have already gone up 35%. So I definitely see a lot of downside along with a lot of upside, of course, in those top seeds. So that's where you're going to see the most risk. If you look back at the bubble, when sports cards were kind of in that insane euphoria phase, Those teams like the Clippers, who were expected to make the finals and didn't, you really never saw Kawhi's prices recover from where they were just based off expectations being so high leading into the bubble. They lost, they blew a 3-1 lead, and their prices absolutely tanked. So I think you're going to see similar stuff with some teams who totally, one of these top 3 seeds may lose in round 1. One of these top 3 seeds in the West may lose in round 1. That's where you're going to see a lot of the downside. A lot of the more free riders will come with the seeds 6 to 8. Those last 3 seeds who make the playoffs are not expected to win anything. If they lose, their prices won't really go down because they're not really expected to win anyways. So if you look at teams like the Warriors, like the Timberwolves, like the Clippers, if they do make any noise, that's where you can see a massive amount of upside. And we've seen that when the 8th seed Miami Heat had a big run. We saw Jimmy Butler's cards go crazy. We saw Tyler Hero's cards go crazy. You see that when lower seeds exceed expectations because they're priced down here. So if there are new expectations up here, you got to see that price bump up to up here. Whereas if your expectations are already up here, it's harder to see that big price increase because that's already expected. You're expected to win. So if you see a team like the Pistons, stun the Knicks in round 1, you could see K's cards skyrocket because they're not expected to win that. So it's just like a stock. A stock is based off how much a company is going to bring in that next quarter. If the company brings in more than that, price is going to go up. If the company brings in less than that, even if it's still a massive number, if Apple's expected to bring in $500 billion, if they bring in $400 billion, price is going to go down. Even though it's still a crazy number, it's still not going to really exceed those expectations. So if you think about that in NBA playoff terms, teams like the Thunder, the Lakers, they're expected potentially, I would say, to make the Western Conference Finals at least. They're the number 1 seed. If they don't, I see their prices going down. Same with the Lakers. Same with the Cavs. Same with the Celtics. You see that baked in expectations. So where I personally like to focus a lot of my money is either in players like LeBron. And if you're going for those top couple teams, I personally find it a little bit too risky to go after guys without MVPs or championships. I want to go after guys who, if they do get knocked out, if they do have a horrible year, if they do not exceed expectations, at least they have great long-term collectability and they've already got championships and MVPs under their belt to where you're not going to see their prices crash. I think the guys who will go down the least if they lose will be guys like LeBron, who their market's been baked in based off prices over the last 20 years. Over the last 20 years of winning, over the next 100 years of him being, a star, of him being a figure, of him being in the spotlight in terms of, him being an all-time great. You're always going to see demand in LeBron's cards regardless of a championship in 2025 when he's 40 years old. So that's what I really like. There's still that upside if they do win the championship, but if they don't win the championship, he's already cemented himself. I'd say that. Even guys like Jokic, he's already won championships. He's already won a championship. He's already won multiple MVPs. He's already cemented himself as an all-time great regardless of 2025 NBA playoffs. That is a player who I think is worth taking a risk on. If he wins, prices go up. If he loses, I don't really see prices crashing. Whereas guys who are embedded, who haven't done anything yet, guys like Donovan Mitchell, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, if they lose this year, you're going to see a bigger sell-off than an all-time great because there's not as many long-term buyers buying into his cards. Not many people will be buying into Donovan Mitchell's cards in May if they lose, whereas I still see a good amount of LeBron collectors and investors buying into his cards, buying the dips because you have that long-term upside of him being an all-time great. Whereas guys like Donovan Mitchell, you're seeing is a little bit more fear in his market. As you can see, his cards aren't even going up as much as LeBron, even though he's the number 1 seed, and that is because people are expecting if he loses, you're going to see a massive sell-off in his prices because his prices are priced high right now based off of, him having a deep playoff run. There also is upside for guys like that, but I'm saying you got to also think of the downside, and if you can limit your downside, then you can take more risks for the upside. And I think if you're able to limit that downside with guys like Jokic, Curry, LeBron, guys who, if they lose, not going to do anything to their prices, those are the guys I really love to bet on. The Warriors are one team, a little bit sneaky. Timberwolves, another team, If they do anything, prices could absolutely soar because they're not expected to do anything. But there is that potential. You still got two playoff killers in Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry that could elevate their game in the playoffs and potentially upset a younger team with less experience. If that does happen, I could see prices absolutely going up for guys like Curry and Butler and other guys on that team. Same goes in the Eastern Conference. Pistons, Knicks. If they beat the Knicks, I could see their prices going up a lot. They're a hot team right now. They're a young team. They're, hungry for it. And I don't see them personally beating the Knicks, but if that does happen, I could see prices going up a lot. I do definitely like the lower seeds in the West better than I do in the East. I think they've got more experience. Like the Timberwolves over the Thunder, I could see that potentially happening. I could see the Warriors potentially taking down if they end up matched up with the Grizzlies or the Nuggets. There is a chance, I think, that they do pull it off. And that's like a free bet in my opinion. Because if their prices, if they do not beat the, if the Lakers and Warriors are, matched up. Everyone's expecting the Lakers to win. They're, seated at number 2. If the Lakers win, I don't see their prices going up a lot. If the Warriors lose, I don't see their prices going down a lot. But if the opposite happens, I see the Warriors prices going up a lot, and I see the Lakers prices, going down a lot. So there's that sort of risk ratio that you want to think about. And if you can get the best risk ratio, which I personally find in guys like Curry, LeBron, Giannis, guys who have already cemented themselves but still have that upside, those are the guys that I would personally go towards. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed, make sure to drop a like and subscribe. I really appreciate all of the support recently. And once again, shout out to our sponsor, collectibles.com. Subscribe if you are new. We are on our road to 60,000 subscribers. So thank you guys so much for all the support recently. We put a lot of work into these videos, so it would mean a lot if you guys would subscribe and support the channel. Other than that, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'm out. Peace.